Thanks so much. It's a pleasure to be here, and thank you all for taking the time to listen to me talk today. I'm going to talk a little bit about wired health, and then hopefully not too controversially about unwired healthcare, which I think is the next frontier. We're going to play some surgical clips, some clips of surgical videos. So if you are squeamish, close your eyes and breathe regularly. Okay, as you will see from this highly detailed roadmap of the evolution of the automobile industry, we have been on a journey from axle to AI. You'll see a Roman car on the left, the invention of precision engineering, engine engineering, all the way through to AI technology integrated into cars. Has anyone been in a Waymo taxi? There's a few hands up. I was in San Francisco in November last year. You hail a taxi on your app. The taxi pulls up. You get in the passenger seat. There's no driver in the driver's seat. Off it takes you to your destination, which tends to be about correct. Amazing innovation in this space. And we are starting to see a similar type of innovation occur within healthcare. You will see on the left here some Roman surgical instruments, including a Roman surgical axe. From axe to AI in healthcare is an amazing journey that we are on. And per the introduction, Medtronic for the past 75 years has been innovating in this space. Precision engineering, intelligent devices, and the era of AI and digital integrated into our portfolio is a very, very exciting one indeed. Healthcare's big. Surgery, 300 million patients every year worldwide have some form of major surgery, which is 10 patients every second. It is so important for us and for so many innovators here today and taking part in wired health that we innovate, that we start improving healthcare, because this impacts lives on a per-second basis. Car manufacturers put humans in their machines. We, as a medical device company, put our machines inside humans. And because of that, there is a distinct advantage to making devices very, very small indeed, because the smaller your devices, the less damage you can do to humans. On the left is a pacemaker from the 1940s. The founder of Medtronic was an inventor of the very first battery-powered pacemaker in the world. On the right is a pacemaker from today. And in my pocket, I have that pacemaker. And here it is. This is the world's smallest pacemaker that keeps patients alive. And it is leadless. It is wireless. It is unwired health. Precision engineering for years and years, getting our technology smaller and more precise, inserted into patients to keep them alive. And we've seen the same miniaturization in surgery. Squeamish, look away. On the left, you will see how surgery has been performed for thousands of years, opening humans up. But if you open humans up with big holes, you damage patients. Laparoscopic surgery, keyhole surgery, and robotic surgery has heralded a new era of as minimally invasive surgery as possible through the use of very small instruments. And here is, on the tip of this, Medtronic shears that go into patient through a very tiny hole that enable surgeons using, as you can see on the right, the robot to manipulate with finessed, dexterous detail the operation they perform on patients. Miniaturizing technology, making it smaller and smaller to have as least harm as possible while surgeons make patients better. Who's been for a colonoscopy? You sit in the car, maybe you take the morning off work, you wait in the queue, you get your gown on, you have your colonoscopy, you go home. What if there was a vitamin pill-sized capsule that you could swallow that took photographs, many photographs every second, that just went through your body, that meant that you didn't have to have a colonoscopy, that could also reach very difficult, hard parts of the body to enable physicians to diagnose highly accurately? But what you just saw was a video of Medtronic's PillCam technology, which is exactly that. Colonoscopy in a capsule, miniaturization of medical devices, of cameras, driving efficiencies and accuracy within healthcare. We've been pioneering some of this precision engineering and medical device technology for many years. And what I've just shown you, from our pacemaker technology to our surgical instruments to our PillCam technology, is utilized within the NHS, inside patients, day in, day out, utilized globally. When we look at the digital picture, we do not see the same proliferation of precision engineering in health. We ran a survey of 1,500 surgeons in the US and the UK, and we asked surgeons their opinion of the digital technology that they had in their workplace. And I'm just going to call out this middle stat. Surgeons on average said they lost 4 hours every week due to crappy digital technology they had to deal with. 4 hours every week is the equivalent of a month's worth of time a year. And there are 25,000 surgeons in the NHS, which would equate to 25,000 months every year of wasted time due to poor digital technology. Is it that bad, George, you're asking? Well, here's a quote from a clinical officer in the NHS that I'm going to read out if my eyesight is good enough to read this screen. He says, "My computer takes ages to load in the morning. It's not running slow, it's just the way the system works. Most of the clinical systems demand clicking over irrelevant buttons to collect unseen data. There is something demoralizing about the pointless clicks. It detracts from the sense of purpose. They leave me feeling like I'm dying inside, slowly wasting my life." They leave me feeling like I'm dying inside, slowly wasting my life. Every morning. Who has a DVD on their person? I've got one. There's all sorts of things I could pull out of my pocket during this talk. I bet you weren't expecting a DVD. If you were a room full of physicians, of surgeons, here in the NHS, and frankly, in any developed healthcare system worldwide, today you would be turning to media like this to access imaging within your hospital. It is 2025. How many Blockbuster stores still exist in the world? Does anyone know? One. Does anyone know where it is? Alaska. Oregon. Oregon in the US. There is one Blockbuster store in the world. Consumers have moved on. Unfortunately, for our most elite athletes of healthcare, they are still turning to things like this. So Medtronic has spent many, many years tackling some very complex engineering problems, and we have started to turn our hand to tackling digital problems. Truly unwired technology. Surgeons no longer using our technology have to review their cases on a DVD. They can review their cases where sensibly most people would in 2025, seconds after a case on their mobile phone. It's the same experience they get at Netflix at home in their workplace. And in 2025, it's what they demand and what they deserve. For the past few years, we have been training computers to interpret and understand surgical procedures. To do this, you need to start really understanding exactly what surgery is. Step by step. This is the back end of AI that people don't generally see, but it is robust work. It is tireless work to define surgery, to map out surgery, to annotate surgery, which enables us to provide to our surgeons today not just their video after the case, but automated intelligence, benchmarked intelligence, tell them how they have performed during a case without a human in the loop. Computers interpreting surgery to support surgeons improve their performance and technique. And we've also got a streaming capability to connect surgeons worldwide. So I'm just going to hand over, as long as the audio plays, to a couple of surgeons to tell you the impact we've had in bringing digital technology to them that moves them from the blockbuster era to the Netflix era.
The first thing we use the technology for is teaching. They call it the practice of medicine for a reason. Because you're always practicing. You're always looking to learn better, perfect techniques. So where can I turn to learn once I've been released from the confines of a teaching institution? Learning technique takes years. The main reason we wanted to bring this technology in was to self-analyze. We try to standardize everything and step by step stay the same throughout every surgery, but when it comes to human anatomy, there's always variations. And so that allows us to go back, look at that film, and learn from it.
The skill transfer used to take a long time because for the mentoring to happen, inevitably a senior consultant has to come or give feedback much later than the surgery that has happened. Live stream has completely transformed that. So it's very interactive. And I strongly believe that this will reduce the training and bedding in period for the new doctors.
Especially in countries which do not have a lot of resources, it's easier for mentors to train the surgeons and they can learn on a case-by-case basis.
Moving hospitals from a blockbuster era to a Netflix era is having a profound impact on the way they can train, teach, and perform. We are also, in Medtronic, providing AI to physicians whilst they perform cases to support them. On the screen, I'll play that again, you can see a green box. This is a colonoscopy procedure. The AI is locating and identifying potentially cancerous polyps whilst the physician performs colonoscopy. This is AI collaborating with the physician at the point of care to provide better precision, better accuracy for patients. And we are bringing this same type of technology to surgeons. We have it in colonoscopy, in endoscopy. We're now bringing real-time decision support over the next few years to surgeons. Who has a ruler on their person? Surgeons have to measure things on a regular basis. They have to decide where to cut, how long they should leave certain parts of the bowel or the stomach, what size meshes they should put inside patients. And today, to do that, surgeons literally put rulers through a tube into a patient to measure the anatomy. They use rulers and they use DVDs. So I'm just going to play you a clip of some R&D. This isn't released. Just to give you a sense of some of the practical examples of how AI is going to collaborate with surgeons physicians whilst they operate, to provide meaningful progress, meaningful input to them, to improve precision and improve efficiency. If you're squeamish, look away. This is a hernia. This is a real operation. How big is that hernia? Anyone? Anyone want to guess? Oh. You got it, 70 millimeters. You could be in theater tomorrow. 70 millimeters, automatically measured with AI. Now, this is not released, this is an R&D, but it gives you a sense of how physicians, elite athletes who have, for the past 10,000 years perhaps, been performing surgery with almost no additional support other than their own brain, their own eyes, and their own hands, are about, in the next few years, to get support, augmented support, which will help them operate and be as good a surgeon as they possibly can be. We are on the dawn, I think, of a very exciting era in healthcare. Whilst I have talked, 1,800 patients have had some form of surgery. That is why this is important. And just finally, I want to give a shout out. It's very easy for me to stand up here and talk to some of the engineers who have worked on the products that you've seen. The faces of those who approved the use of their images are on this slide. Some of them are in this room today. And what's really neat is Medtronic is a global company. It's the world's biggest medtech. The engineers who worked on most of the digital surgery technology that you saw are based a mile away in the Silicon Roundabout, not in the Silicon Valley, because the UK has some of the best talent in this space, and we are investing and growing. This is not an invitation to come back to our office after this event for an after-show party, but we do have a beer fridge should you wish to join us. It's a privilege to be here, privileged to talk about some of the innovation that we have underway, and cannot wait for the next speakers to join on stage who are really showing some similar and world-class innovation. So with that, I will say thank you, have a good rest of the day, and maybe time for some questions.
Yeah, sure. So, actually, well, all back to George's later. Why the UK? Is it just historical, or why not go to Silicon Valley? Why not go elsewhere?
So there is a historical aspect to it. So Medtronic acquired a startup that was based in London. But we're very lucky in the UK to have a number of universities which have a focus on healthcare AI and indeed surgical AI, from Imperial through to Cambridge, through to Oxford, through to UCL. We are benefiting, I think, from an amazing group of graduates and talent that we take and thankfully benefit from who join us. Secondly, I think the UK, as Wired Health demonstrates, benefits from such a dynamic and diverse set of startups in health tech, and I think that really propels the industry and the health tech industry in this country.
And you're in a hard space, and what I mean by that is hardware, like physical limitations. So atoms, people in tech often talk about scaling, and it's very easy to scale in software. You're doing the opposite. You're trying not to scale, or trying to descale, whatever the right phrase is. What are the limitations? Like, where do you see this going? You showed that remarkable device that you had in your pocket, along with God knows what else.
I hope I've still got it in my pocket, because I need to return it.
It's quite remarkable, the pacemaker. Like, what are you up against? How do you take this even further?
I mean, I showed the slide of the pacemaker from the 1940s and that was the pacemaker that my grandparents would have been exposed to. I am sure in 50 years, if you played this clip, people looking at it would say, that's a big pacemaker. That's a pretty sizable pacemaker. I can't believe we used to put technology in that's this size. So I think there is still a long way to go, and Medtronic keeps investing in more precise, smaller technologies. And we do like scaling our hardware as well as our software. From a digital perspective, as I said, and this is a phrase Aradazi used, the NHS is still in the foothills of digital.
Yeah.
And that is a challenge, that we have hospitals who, it feels, since the 1990s have been on pause. But we believe that we, together with other health tech companies, digital companies, can really drive change, and I am optimistic that change is coming.
And you talked about this journey from Blockbuster to Netflix. A little bit about AI at the end, and obviously all speakers at Wired Health this year are obliged to talk about AI, and the way that you're using AI to identify potentially cancerous polyps. Can you talk a little bit about how that relationship between your hardware and AI might develop in the next 2 or 3 years? What are you excited about?
Yes, so we obviously have a portfolio of hardware, and we are driving and investing heavily in digital, and the combination of the hardware and the software, we believe, is a real force multiplier for patient impact. So we have a medical robot called Hugo, which is a very advanced piece of medical technology. Over the next few years, as we make that more and more intelligent, I think that really does herald an opportunity for advancements in care. So I think the integration, the force multiplier of hardware and software is something we are most excited about.
Great. Well, we look forward to following your progress with great interest, and come back and tell us about the next great innovation you're going to be putting to market. So thank you, George.
Thanks so much.
Great talk.
Good stuff.